Good things happen.
Well, the Kremlin says Kiev has shown no signs it's ready to negotiate territory and is disrupting the peace process.
We're seeing very contradictory statements coming out of Kiev. The Kiev regime's position is also full of contradictions. All of this, of course, doesn't contribute to the peace process in the Russian Federation. The position of the Russian Federation and President Putin is well known. We continue our discussions with the Americans on the Ukrainian settlement. Serious work is underway. We'll see what happens. All these contradictions we're seeing in Kiev certainly don't contribute to this process. Quite the contrary. They hinder it.
You have Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, who seem eager to strike a deal finally on Ukraine. And then you have Europe preparing for war, quite literally. It's unclear why, but their actions and their statements are all pointing in that direction. And just now, we have the Swedish defense minister who is calling on European countries to go into war mode. And he's saying that they need a change of mentality if they are to preserve peace, that Russia is ready to take political and military risks and to strengthen its hybrid operations. So they need to counteract and strike back, and they need to prepare themselves psychologically and militarily for war. These are the latest statements from Sweden's defense minister. And of course, they would love to start out first by arresting Vladimir Putin. There is that ICC warrant, and there are calls right now for them to do something and not even to allow, for example, Vladimir Putin over European airspace even.
Regarding Budapest, no, it's not nice. I mean, to see that really a person put to the arrest warrant by the ICC is coming to a European country. And again, you know, the question is whether there's any outcome out of this. They are meeting, but let's see what's coming out of that meeting.
Now, Hungary actually withdrew from the International Criminal Court just hours after Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived in the country back in April. He also has an ICC warrant, but then we didn't hear any shock, any disgust over the fact that Israel's Prime Minister was traveling to Europe. So, of course, as always, a different set of rules when it comes to Russia. And Russia's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, spoke out about it, said that Moscow is well aware of what is going on and that this is the EU and the Western European countries, of course, moving on to active subversive actions and using strange statements that are really coming across as threats at this point.
The European Union, this aggressive West European community, has once again resorted to active, as they like to call them, subversive actions. Of course, they want to sabotage any peaceful aspirations, from mere talks about peace negotiations to actual concrete actions.
Now, she also added that it's difficult to understand or to say at this point whether these European officials actually know what they're doing, because, as she said, there are so many non-professionals at the helm of Western European countries. So maybe this is a signal of their lack of experience. And, of course, these so-called professionals right now are also looking at proposals to change EU membership rules and so any new countries that would be accepted in the EU wouldn't have full voting rights or veto rights. And they're looking to eventually move towards a sort of majority rule situation so that no individual country can actually block any of their policies, which is something along the lines of what we're seeing right now.
Remarkable. Marina, though, there is, of course, the other side of the story, those who recognize the reality of the conflict and its prospects.
Yeah, there aren't many of those countries in Europe. You, of course, have, the Prime Minister of countries like Slovakia, of Hungary, and also we have a new figure right now, Britain's top most senior army officer, who actually came out and said that there's no way that Ukraine can win this war, that it's been given false hope by its Western allies, and that it cannot win unless NATO troops get involved, which, as he put it himself, that will not happen, and that Ukraine should just at this point give up and start negotiating peace already.
What we have done in the case of Ukraine is encourage Ukraine to fight, but not give them the means to win. My view is that they would not win.
Couldn't win,
no.
Even with the right resources?
No.
Really?
No, they haven't got the manpower unless we were to go in with them, which we won't do because Ukraine is not an existential issue for us.
This is the same man who led NATO forces during the troop surge in Afghanistan, and he's saying point blank there that this is not going to work. And of course, this comes at a time when Donald Trump seems to have made another U-turn. Now he's back on Vladimir Putin's side, and he had a very tense meeting with Vladimir Zelensky. It was called a very tense meeting, with the Financial Times reporting that there was even a shouting match with Donald Trump cursing a lot of the time. And he gave a warning to Zelensky, saying that Russia is prepared to destroy Ukraine if he doesn't accept Russia's terms. And then, of course, as we know, Donald Trump told reporters that he believes that this war should end now, and it should end at the current battle lines as they are now.
All right, another story we're following closely. Armenian authorities have arrested a prominent opposition leader and mayor of the nation's second largest city on contested charges of bribery, triggering a massive protest. Tensions between Vardan Gukasyan and Yerevan escalated this month when Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan suggested he should be, quote, thrown out. More than 100 security personnel were deployed, leading to fractious scenes. Protesters tried to prevent them from entering Gyumri town hall while chanting in support of the mayor. A local journalist sent us this report.
We are in Gyumri. The police is saying to the people to leave the Vardan Square. They say that people are on the road, and this is the ruining of the canon of Armenia, and they ask people to leave this square. As we know from morning, police and special forces entered to the municipality building, and they say that Major Vardan Gukasyan is detained, and then we see that a lot of people from the city came here to protect their major. They ask to give him freedom. You see the tension started among police officers and protesters which came here to protect the Major Vardan Gukasyan. As you see, police officers are coming. There are a lot of them, and they are telling people to leave. Police, which is here, is asking people to leave the road because it is a central square of Gyumri, and as I could suppose that very soon, if citizens don't leave the square, they will start to detain people.
We are at the building of municipality of Gyumri. Here we see vice mayor, which is telling about detained Major Vardan Gukasyan. Police forces leave Vardan Square. There were a lot of detains that took place on Vardan Square. Workers of municipality showed me this broken window, and they are very angry, and they told that police officers made this accident. They were very angry with police forces, and as we understand, the workers of municipality are strongly against authorities and protect their major.
Well, local media outlets say the mayor's office has declared a strike over the detention. Here's an account now of how Mr. Gukasyan's arrest unfolded by one of the city leader's advisors.
It was difficult to enter the town hall. A lot of police and security service forces were both inside and outside. This situation lasted for 6 hours. All the Armenian law enforcement was here and used all methods and power to carry out repression, to simply kidnap the mayor of Gyumri. The people did not simply allow it. They did not agree and did all in their power to block the law enforcement's way. But as you see, they just snatched the mayor through the back door. This is the door they used for that. They broke the glass and the doorknob. Witness for yourself the tactics they used to kidnap people. It is vandalism. Something similar also happened to me when I denounced a court as corrupt. We couldn't move here or get out. They closed up all the entrances. Basically, this was the logical consequence of what was said by Armenia's highest authorities. Their government order announced in parliament, urging for us to be smashed in basements and on the asphalt. Not everyone must belong to the ruling party. People should be able to hold an oppositional or alternative view. In Armenia, it is now punishable by law with the methods you saw. If that's democracy, I haven't seen such democracy anywhere or heard about it. We sent the videos of everything that happened to all embassies in Armenia. A legally elected official, trusted by the people, was kidnapped from the town hall.
Well, Caucasus and Central Asia Affairs specialist Alison Tasmizian-Muse believes the Gyumri mayor's arrest is only a prelude by the government before an ultimate crackdown on inconvenient church leaders.
First of all, I believe this is a dry run for an even more sensitive target of Pashinyan, which is the Catholicos of all Armenians. Pashinyan has said he wants to replace the Catholicos. The ruling party has basically rounded up, detained almost an entire church diocese in Armenia. They've jailed a bishop. Now there are 3 senior clergy in jail in Armenia. They have also, the internal security forces also made a big show of roughing up and arresting a lawyer who handles some of the most prominent political cases, including of Archbishop Bagrat Galstyan. So I believe this is possibly a training or simulation for the ultimate raid on the Mother See of the Armenian Apostolic Church. And secondly, Gyumri is strategic. This mayor was elected just this past spring, representing a coalition of opposition consensus, minus Nikol Pashinyan's party. And this mayor came to power on a platform pledging to preserve and strengthen ties with Russia, but also vowing never to open the border with neighboring Turkey. So he represented a major obstacle in Pashinyan's agenda of ultimate Armenian integration with neighboring Turkey, NATO's second largest army, and Azerbaijan. In recent days and weeks and months, it is expected that he will be put through a kangaroo court and endure basically pretrial detention so long as is necessary for this ruling administration.
The Slovak Prime Minister has lashed out at Brussels, accusing the Party of European Socialists, a continental-wide bloc, of prioritising identity politics, not workers. It follows the country's Social Democratic Party being expelled from EU party ranks for not adhering to its progressive agenda.
Speaking of the sovereignty of national identity and traditions on which the Slovak Republic is based, I cannot help but return to the recent decision by the Party of European Socialists to expel the Slovak Social Democratic Party from its ranks for, and I quote, being in gross and strong contradiction with the values and principles of our family. End of quote. I remember when, as